I used to suck in A-level chemistry. I was stuck at D's despite studying frequently and getting top grades in so-called harder subjects such as biology and maths. I was also bald. That doesn't have much to do with chemistry or the video. Now, it wasn't the fact that I was naturally smart or revised 24/7 either. I mean, I'm 19 and my mom still drives me to my friend's house. I just stuck to 3 simple things that I did when I wasn't playing Fortnite, and this allowed me to rise to the top of my class. So here's exactly how you can do it too without burying your face in a textbook the whole day. So unfortunately, it does start with some studying. So I start off with some Anki flashcards. Now, as for the reason why I do work blocks in 1 to 3 hours, well, usually 45 minutes to 3 hours. The reason why is because I feel that in shorter blocks, you don't get as much deep work done and you're not able to concentrate as much. And you're not able to get done as much done if you do like 25-5 Pomodoro technique. So that's why I work in longer blocks, but not too long to the point where I'm losing focus after 3 hours. And then also I have headphones on here for brown noise because I don't know if you guys can hear in the background, but these birds like near my house do not shut up the whole day. So I need these. Now I also get asked quite often, is it better to make my own Anki flashcards or to just use like pre-made ones online? And the answer to that depends on exactly what stage of revision you are in right now. So if you've gone into year 12, for example, like just now, I'd recommend making your own. But if you're going into year 13, I recommend making your own for the year 13 content that you're about to cover, but using someone else's for year 12s. But the problem with online flashcards is that most of them suck. So I know I'm quite biased because I have my own, but my own are available for free in my like free revision community link down below. So you guys can join that and get them. I'll also link them in the description so you don't have to join if you don't want to. I'd still recommend to use your own over using mine. And this is actually due to something called generation effect. So we're going to take a quick time trip back into history, guys. So there was actually a study in 1978 with 2 scientists, Slamaka and Graf. Now in the study, they had 2 pairs of groups. And in this, they gave them each word pairs. In one of the groups, they gave them just a word pair. And in the other group, they made them work out the word, like the final word of the word pair themselves, giving them clues, and made them actually like work out the second word themselves. Then when they tested recall afterwards after a set time interval for both groups, the group which had generated their own answer remembered 15% more than the group that had just been given the word pairs. This is what the generation effect essentially is, and it's the most replicated like thing in memory science. So you see the struggle and like so-called time waste of making the card is actual studying and benefits your memory, in my opinion. When you download someone else's Anki deck, you skip that struggle, you skip that tenacious task. So then like you are studying when you're using someone else's deck, but you're not memorizing as well because the memory encoding never happens. So making your own cards, even though it's time consuming, etc., when you do it from the start of the year, then it's really not that time consuming. It's very easy and basic studying. Obviously, if you're going to make cards, you have to do the cards, but like making cards isn't as like a horrible thing to do like everyone else says. So without further ado, let's get some work done. That is the end of the 45-minute session. So Anki is really good when you're trying to memorize large amounts of information in a quick amount of time. One other reason why I use Anki is because it makes me look really smart. If you guys haven't realized, Anki is actually quite hard to use and quite hard to format. I remember when I was in 6th form, like I would tell people I use Anki and they're like, oh, Anki, fair enough. I tried that, but I couldn't get it down, so I just use Quizlet. So like, that's another reason for you guys to use Anki. It makes you guys look smart. Now for chemistry, you guys may be asking, hold on, like I only do like 2 work blocks a day and they're like 45 minutes. Is that even enough? And the answer is yes. When you do it consistently over a long period of time, your like memory sees this sort of compound effect in which you're going to be memorizing stuff crazy. Like you'll see it like build up slowly at first, but eventually once, let's say you start in early year 12, and by the time you get to year 12 mocks, you're going to see an exponential increase in your grades and the effects from studying. Guys, I need you to remember that good inputs will always produce good outputs. That you just have a certain time lag between the inputs and outputs. The input being your studying and the time you're putting into Anki, and the outputs being your good grades. There may be a time lag between these two, but they like good inputs will cause good outputs. It just takes time. So for a lot of you guys may try doing Anki for a while, and then after one end of topic test, you don't get a good grade, so you drop it. Don't do that. You see a time lag with these things, and you need a large test sample before you can actually prove if something works or not. So stick with this for quite a while, and you will see it work, and you will see your memorization improve like nothing else. And memorization is crucial for chemistry due to the fact that I hear a lot of people saying that it's like a lot of its application. It is, but when it comes to like outside of maths questions and like actual like doing questions, a lot of it is just information dumping, especially if you do OCRA. OCRA is very, very like information based and just fact memorization. So if you're able to do that, then you will get a high grade on the exam. But obviously that's not all you can do, because you're not facilitating your learning properly just through random fact memorization. So I'm going to go through exactly how we can get our grades up outside of basic fact memorization. Okay, I hope you guys can see this well, but here we have mind maps. Now, mind maps is going to be one of my favorite revision methods for chemistry, especially due to how many reactions there were. I remember in my first end of year 12 mock, I got a B, and like, oh my god, it was horrible because I needed an A for my predicted grades. And I think I lost like 8 marks on reactions alone, and they were all super easy, despite using Anki very consistently. So what I did to combat that in year 13 was by using mind maps like these. So in chemistry, you have all these different reactions, right? And different things producing different things. And the thing is, you need to know the different reaction pathways, what each reaction produces, and the different reagents and catalysts, etc. Now, the problem with doing just Anki for this, or just past papers for this, is that you end up isolating the reactions, when in reality, as you can see by the mind map, a lot of these work as a flow. For example, we have halogenoalkanes reacting to make primary alcohols through sodium hydroxide substitution and concentrated sulfuric acid as a catalyst. But then from the primary alcohol, you can then go to an alkene by hydrolysis with cold water and concentrated sulfuric acid. Now, with this reaction, for example, they may ask you in the exam to go from halogenoalkene to alkene, but here, as you can see on the mind map, there's no link here, and in your Anki cards you may not have a card that does this. But if you've understood the flow of the reaction by doing mind maps, then you're going to be a lot more likely to get that right in the exam. And this is a skill that, like, doing past papers isn't going to help you do this, because they may ask a reaction that you haven't seen before. So this is why mind maps is the ultimate way to get your reactions down. So as you can see, you want to make sure that you're doing every single reactant reagent. So what I would like to do is that every week I'd grab one of these, print it out. If you don't have to print it out, if you want, you can just write them out. But then I'd go and fill it out like here. Here, as you can see, I filled this one out already. But then here, I'm missing acyl chloride to secondary amide, acyl chloride to primary amide, and acyl chloride to ester. So I'm going to drop my black pen. And with my red pen, I'm then going to fill in the reactions that I've missed out on. So as you can see, I'm done now. I've filled out the things that was missing, but then I also added the extra byproducts form. So from acyl chloride, you also get hydrochloride gas, like the white fumes. I'm sure you guys are aware of. That's why you do these reactions in a fume cupboard when you're doing them in class. But yeah, so I've added the extra ones here because they weren't on here. And then what I'm going to do is, instead of doing, so these rest of the reactions I'm going to do next week, but then these reactions that I've just messed up and I didn't remember, I'm going to do them in 3 days, and then in 3 days again, and then also in the week then, and then I'll just do it like this with spaced repetition. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you understand the mechanisms of these reactions as well. For example, this is the acyl chloride to secondary amide. That is a nucleophilic substitution reaction using the sorry, I may have made that a little confusing there, using the extra electrons here on the nitrogen. So that's how, or the lone pair of electrons on the nitrogen. So that's essentially knowing these mechanisms, even if it's not a part of your course. Like, it's like some of these, like this mechanism is not going to be a part of your specification, I don't think. But knowing the mechanism is going to help you memorize the reaction better because you understand it more. So it's don't just lead to baseless memorization. Having a good understanding, even if it goes beyond your specification, can be very useful. The way I found out about this method, I'll be 100% honest. My teacher like told me about it. Like, my A-level chemistry teacher basically just handed these out in class one day and said, I've noticed that you guys are slacking on your reactions in your like mocks. So here's like a little thing I've set out for you guys, and it really helped us all in class. So yeah, listen to your teachers, guys, because they may put you on some elite ball knowledge like this. So there's one thing we haven't covered yet, and that is going to be the application side of A-level chemistry. Now, the reason why I'm saving this for last is because there's not that much application in A-level chemistry. The grade boundaries are so high, like they're like 91% on OCRA, because a lot of it is just memorization and information dumping. But there is still a good amount of application there, especially if you did my exam board OCRB, which is easily the hardest one. Then there's going to be a lot more there. So the two areas where you see students lose the most marks are going to be NMR spectrum, and like infrared radiation spectrum. Questions where you have to like analyze which element it is based on the peaks and whatever, and then also the maths questions. So I'm going to tell you exactly how to do these. So with the NMR questions, the way to improve on it is to have a full structured view on how you're going to tackle each question. Each NMR question is very similar in the way that you're going to be attempting it. So what you want to do is you want to watch a walkthrough, like a past paper walkthrough, where someone else does an NMR question, like any YouTuber. MacChem Guide is very good. MacChem Guide doing it. So you watch how he does it, and he'll go through and he'll outline it like it is for a 5-year-old. He'll do it very, very simply, and he'll break every step down. Then you're not going to copy his answer. You're not going to copy the way he writes it down. You're simply going to try emulate his thought process when you attempt an NMR question. You're going to be thinking in the same manner as him. You're going to be looking at the peaks and whatever in the same order as him. And then you're going to write it down in your own words and identify the element yourself. The reason why this is so important is because a lot of you guys don't know where to start on these NMR questions. There's so many different spikes, there's so many different peaks, and then you end up doing the NMR question and you think, oh, I think there could be 8 different like elements here or compounds, whatever. So one thing that you guys need is a constant system that you can rely on with every single NMR question. And that's what honestly worked for me. Also, I want you guys to view it as fun, okay? A lot of people hate NMR. This was my favorite topic in A-level chemistry because it felt like for once I was doing something. Like instead of just like brain dead memorization, I was actually doing something. It was like I was actually being a chemist for once in A-level chemistry. This like honestly was so important. Like it made me feel human. I know that sounds kind of awkward, but you guys will realize it once you get out of sixth form, because like a lot of A-levels is just memorize this, copy this onto the past paper. But the NMR stuff is more just like, I want you to do this, and that's something that I really liked about it. Now, with the maths questions, a lot of you guys struggle with maths questions, especially if you haven't done A-level maths. And the main mistake you make is by learning from your chemistry teachers. I'm not saying don't listen to your teachers, my chemistry teachers were great, etc. But why would you learn maths from a chemistry teacher? That chemistry teacher has great chemistry knowledge. They've done a degree on chemistry. They've been doing nothing, they've been teaching chemistry for 5 years. Their life has been chemistry. It doesn't make sense if you're lost on the fundamentals of the maths in chemistry questions to get advice from a chemistry teacher. So ideally you want to go to the source. So depending on what topic that you're struggling on in chemistry, maths, you're going to go and look at the fundamentals for that specific maths question required for it, whether it's standard form, whether it's conversions, even if it's like algebra, for example, because I know there is algebra in like your entropy questions. So what you're going to do is, instead of like looking at your chemistry teachers for help, I want you to look at your maths teachers. If you don't do maths, you can ask the maths teacher for help on it. Or you could go and look at the fundamentals on a YouTube video like TL Maths to understand and then attempt some questions. Then also, for any past papers that you do attempt, I don't recommend doing past papers too much early on, because honestly with A-level chemistry, a vast majority of it is just information dumping. You being at a C is not due to you, like you doing an extra 2 past papers is not going to push your grade from a C to an A. What will is understanding how to attempt questions that you haven't done in the past, not doing more of those questions. Because it may make sense for maths, right? Because you have the same methods each time. But in chemistry, there's so many different compounds, so many different elements, so many different reaction pathways. So with your maths questions, you can also watch Machem Guide. Machem Guide is the best chemistry YouTuber in my opinion. He goes over it in very good detail. Alloy Chemistry is just okay. Machem Guide is very good for the maths questions. I recommend him greatly for your mole calculations or whatever. You can watch him go through like different questions and then try emulate it yourself when you have similar types of questions. Now lastly, as for revision resources, stick to Machem Guide, stick to your revision guide, in my opinion, the CGP revision guide for whatever exam board you're doing, amazing. Then also, honestly, your lesson slides and doing some wider reading is going to help you immensely. But doing wider reading is going to be great for chemistry in the sense of helping your understanding and then improving your memory. A lot of people say stick to the specification or whatever. Yeah, your basis of revision should be revolving around the specification, but why would you trap yourself in that when going beyond the specification could help you understand and reinforce your knowledge on this like stuff in the specification more clearly? It doesn't make sense to do that, right? It doesn't make sense to ignore the extra knowledge when it will help you reinforce your like knowledge that you require for the exam, which is why I recommend that you guys do go beyond the specification here and there and dabble in a little extra chemistry. Yeah, other than that, I hope I managed to keep this video quite short. I wanted it to be short. I hope you guys understood exactly how you're going to go from a D to an A in A-level chemistry, or hopefully an A star. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you did. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.